I've got an Airbnb tip for you that's so massive, it can change your entire Airbnb business. It applies to everything. Anything you want to improve, I promise you it will by the end of this video. Now, this is inspired by the world's biggest tree, and no, this is not the world's biggest tree, but it's close. We're in Sequoia National Park trying to find the Sherman Tree, and I'm going to give you the world's biggest tip along the way and multiple ways on how you can use it just to prove that it can affect your entire Airbnb business. So please, like the video, strap in, subscribe if you haven't yet. Let's go find a big tree and give you some big tips. Welcome back, Airbnb family. We're in Sequoia National Park. This place is huge, by the way. I'm going to give you a teaser for the tip when we start our journey. Everything on Airbnb is public. I want you to think long and deep on that. That's not a big tree joke. The reason why this applies to you is because there are people better than you on Airbnb. There's the best. Somebody out there is the best. And when the best is doing everything in the light, in the public, there's a lot we can steal from them. So if I'm going to give you the tip, controversially speaking, I'm going to tell you to steal is going to be the tip. But I'm going to teach you to steal like the best artists in the world do.
Oh, dude. That was way too forced.
That way your Airbnb business can benefit for free from some of the best advice that's out there that even I'm not telling you. So let's go find a tree and let's talk about this tip. Now, my friends, if you're going to steal, you have to know what to look for. Let's start at the beginning. Market research. Anytime you're going to pick up a property, you need to know you're not going to lose money. So a lot of people look online. They use something like AirDNA or Mashvisor to look at other Airbnb properties through a lens of analytics to try to find out what properties are making the most money. But as some of you, my longest viewers, know, I've got beef with AirDNA because they give you data without context. Why does a property make $200,000 a year, but the property 3 blocks away only makes $150,000? The reason why has to do with qualitative data that AirDNA can't mash up because it's not ones and zeros. You have to look at the photos, you have to look at the reviews, you have to look at the description and try to make a human judgment on whether or not their design is good, whether or not their quality of service is good. It has nothing to do with just the number of beds and whether they have a pool. This goes deeper than the base data. And this is also where we get to start to steal. If you have not a clue how to do interior design, you can find a listing that you think looks awesome, and you could just copy it. You could literally copy the design of another listing. And now you have an amazing looking listing that's not original to you, but let me tell you why that's not such a bad idea. But like I said, you need to know what to look for, so knowing good design is something that you can learn. But closer to the end of the video, for you guys who've never done any research, who are really new to this, I'm gonna give you a basics list of what to look for and what those things mean. So as you look at other listings, you can determine whether or not listings are good or if they're doing the right thing. This is not the Sherman Tree. Still a big tree though. Let's add to this tip a couple things that actually aren't free, but I highly encourage you to do them if you're trying to learn Airbnb from scratch, top to bottom. Stay at some Airbnbs. Stay at some highly rated ones that are similar to the type of property that you hope to have one day, or that you currently own or manage right now, and go secret shop them. Competitor analysis can be done through the Airbnb platform to some degree, but being inside a property, seeing how someone messages you, how they handle conflict, like the way that they phrase things, this type of competitor analysis, it forces you to engage with your competition, which means it forces you to pay them. And yes, paying your competition to teach you how to run an Airbnb business is a great idea. And another person that you can pay is not me.
What?
They're housekeepers. If you want to run your own housekeeping team like I do one day, all my people are paid by the hour, like maximum of $18 per hour. I know that's controversial. You're going to need to know how to manage housekeepers and how housekeepers do their job front to back. So hire a housekeeping team, have them come in and clean your place for a couple of weeks and stay there while they're cleaning. Supervise, shadow, take notes, spy on them. You're paying them to do cleaning. You're allowed to be there while they do it. Another thing you can see for free on Airbnb and really gets to the root of whether or not a listing makes money are their prices on their calendar. Yeah, that was a rude pun. Don't unsubscribe for that. But if you look on somebody's calendar, you can see what their prices are for weekdays or weekends, and more importantly, you can see if those prices even change. If people's prices stay the same, you know that they don't do dynamic pricing. If their prices are constantly changing, you know that they do. If their prices move a lot, like every day is slightly different in price, they're probably using Price Labs or Wheelhouse. See, these are things we get to know for free. This not only tells you what people are charging, but also tells you what level of elegance people are. In a market, if everyone's using certain softwares, that's a pretty elegant market. It lets you know the level of the competition. Now, a bonus for this, if somebody has a lot of prices, but a completely open calendar, then their prices are wrong because they have no bookings. And this helps you find out who's charging too much money, because even good listings won't get booked when the prices are too much. This is something good to know. So if one's true, the opposite has to be true, right? If a calendar has bookings, then they're doing a good job. If their calendar's completely full, and they never change their prices, like almost completely full, but you can still see some open dates enough to see that they never change their prices, then you know that that's like a baseline price, that price gets a lot of action, and that host just wants to be comfortable. They want to get their bookings without a lot of work, without a lot of worry. So now you know a safe floor for a price. Now your competitor research shows you good listings that are too expensive and decent listings that are too cheap. And whatever the market strikes for, that decent listing that's too cheap becomes this number that you know you can get and you should expect to make more money. Okay, so yes, both are extremes. Too full, not full enough. There's a perfect balance where a listing is getting bookings at a certain point in the future, they're changing their prices just enough, their calendar's not too full, they've got a good pace. In revenue management, we call it pace. What is a good pace? Well, that changes per listing, per season, occupancy size, region. I can't just tell you in 30 seconds, even in 5 minutes, how to do this. I teach this in my new book, The Revenue Manager's Handbook, so you should check that out. But for now, just know that there is a middle ground. And we want to find the ranges, we want to find the extremes, and then we want to find that healthy middle because that helps us really set the perfect price for our own calendar. This is still not the Sherman Tree. But wow, this discussion on price comes with a really cool example and a kind of a claim, controversial one. Pricing softwares like Wheelhouse or Price Labs are balancing algorithms. If you think about this concept of people being elegant, knowing what they're doing, and then changing their prices to meet the market, these pricing softwares raise prices or lower prices based on whether or not there will be enough demand for the supply. The way that they do this is they onboard a certain percentage of listings in an area and get enough data to know what competition is doing, much like I'm advising you to do. And their goal is to get all of their clients booked. Everybody who's got a Price Labs or Wheelhouse account, they want those guys to get booked. So they're looking at the rate that the market's getting booked, and they're looking at the prices that everyone on Wheelhouse has, and they're like, well, knowing that there's some people not on Wheelhouse and what prices those look like to be because they do scrape the internet for that data, it's just not real time. They'll go, I don't think there's enough demand for our product, so we're going to advise that everybody on Wheelhouse lowers their rates. But again, this is outside of like qualitative stuff like design. So this is why Price Labs or Wheelhouse is never going to be perfect, but they still do this really good balancing for what they perceive to be supply and demand. And if you do this by hand, you can go a little bit deeper. One of my students in Dubai, we just did a call on Saturday, and I gave him homework on how to do research on all of his competitors and organize all that data, something that it takes a while to learn and I don't teach for free. But then we're looking at the data and we find that people who are traveling to Dubai this time of the year, they have a certain amount of price sensitivity at certain length of time into the future. And I call this zones in my book, The Revenue Manager's Handbook. Learning to operate within zones helps make this whole complex conversation a lot easier. And so we noticed that last minute, all the prices had to be within a certain range of price. And then 2 weeks out, a certain range of price. After 3 weeks, we start to see a little bit of increase, but very minor compared to the other price drops that come inside of the 2 weeks. Now he's in a building that overlooks the Burj Khalifa. That's kind of an important part of his part of town. And there's a lot of listings, a lot of competitors. So I won't say what those prices are, but now he's able to know that because of his quality and the fact that everybody else like him is in a similar quality bracket, that the demand groups have a certain price sensitivity. And if he's priced too high, he won't even be considered. And if he's priced too low, he's just wasting money that he could have earned because everybody else is going to charge a certain range. This type of homework allows you to make more money than Price Labs or Wheelhouse would have told you because that balancing algorithm might have accidentally said everybody needs to lower the prices below that band because we want to make sure that you get booked in case they don't. But to know that everybody in your market is sticky on price, or also know that they fail to drop rates at certain points in time, which comes from hand research, you'll know where you need to be lower than your competition, but you'll know where you could be higher or where being priced exactly the same is the most optimal strategy based on the customers that are going to be booking. Okay guys, we're almost to the Sherman Tree. I hear this thing is super massive, like over 30 feet wide at the trunk. Nuts. And of course, with this big, awesome tree, I'm going to give you a list of the basics to look for when you start to steal from your competitors, what those things mean, and then of course, how to use it, what to apply in response. What a walk. All right, let's get to this tree. My friends, I must apologize. I did something silly. After the Sherman Tree, I went to upload all the videos and I deleted the back end of them. I totally screwed up. So to finish this video off, I just want to let you know that we're going to Bryce Canyon and the Grand Canyon next for the next video. And yes, as promised, there will be the link in the description to get the companion file for this video. And as a takeaway, in the last 10 years that I've been a host, I can tell you that there is so much data and so many good best practices that you can follow as an Airbnb host now that you can exploit from other people just showing you online. I want you to find out what people are charging, why they're charging it, if people are paying those prices, what they're selling in order to get those prices, what properties people like, what properties the Airbnb algorithm likes, what design styles are trending, what people are saying in the reviews. You can see absolutely everything. And if something is working, steal it. I promise you, there's going to be nearly no listings on Airbnb that are a true one of one. Somebody has an identical property somewhere else in the world, or a near identical property somewhere else in the world. So if you're feeling weird about stealing, don't. Because your one property, as close as it can be to somebody else's property, it will still be you hosting somebody. And that's really at the heart of hospitality. So use this one big tip, make a ton of money, and let me know how it goes. Send me a DM on Instagram. As always, my friends, I will see you on the other side.